What's up, everybody? It's your boy Murdic3K, aka MK3 Tactical. There is nothing tactical about me. And today, we will be doing a video that I've been wanting to bring to you for quite some time. Now, before I say anything else, the video is going to show the disassembly of an AR-15. This is not for modification purposes. This is strictly for maintenance and cleaning purposes. I want to say that for YouTube purposes and for factual purposes, this is exactly what that video is. So before we get started with the actual meat and potatoes of the video, there's some things you're going to need. This video is for new AR-15 owners that are looking for a way to perform a light maintenance cleaning on their AR-15. And so there's some basic things that you will need. The first thing and the most basic thing are some cleaning cloths. Now, you can buy cleaning cloths for your rifle, or you can use an old t-shirt, cut it up into squares of various sizes, and they'll work just fine. And that's just what we did here. We have some Q-tips. You'll need some of these for some cleaning of the more hard to reach areas. You'll need a solvent or a CLP solution. I'm using CLP today. I generally use Hobby's number 9 bore cleaner for my dirtier jobs, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in another video. But for this video, we will be using CLP. You can find CLP from various number of companies. We'll be using that for our more of our cleaner, and then we will also use a standalone lubricant. I use the Umbrella Corporation's Unicorn Lube. This is a wonderful lubricant. You can get this on Amazon. I highly recommend this one. This is the one I stand by. And oh, and then the bore snake. You can get a bore snake at Walmart. You can get them online. The thing about a bore snake is just you want to make sure you have the appropriate size bore snake matching the caliber of your barrel. That way it'll prevent either not cleaning enough or possibly getting the bore snake wedged in the barrel and then having the pull cord snap off. You just want to make sure you have the right tool for the job. And we're doing 300 blackout, and this is the tool I need for that job. With that, we're going to get to it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. The first thing we want to do is make sure that the bolt is locked back. We want to visually inspect the AR to make sure it is clear, and even put your finger in there. Just make sure you don't hit the bolt release and that bolt come down on your finger. And then we're clear. Now we're ready to get to the table and start working on the AR. The first thing we're going to do is separate the upper from the lower. And you do so by first pushing down the takedown pin, and then on the opposite side of this, you'll notice you can grab it and pull it right up. Gives you the separation like so. And then I'm going to push down my pin here, and then you just separate them like so. You have your upper and your lower receiver. Doesn't really matter which one you clean first, as long as you get them clean. Today we're going to start with the lower because it's really one of the easiest parts to clean. The first thing I'm going to do, when we were doing our check, we see that the hammer is down. We're going to first flip it up into safety, put our hand gently on the hammer, and let it ride up. Make sure you don't pinch yourself right there. Just let it put pressure till you let that release, and then let it ride up. Now, what I'm going to do, now you can use several of the cleaning products. I'm going to use CLP today. Here, I'm going to use this product. I've never used it before. So what you're going to do, you're going to put a little bit of this CLP on a rag. You can squirt it directly into the lower if you so chose. Put it to the side, and you're going to just gently wipe everything down. Inside your mag, well here, inside the trigger group, on the buffer weight face. If you've been shooting a lot, you can take this out and go inside, but we haven't really been shooting this a lot, so I'm not going to take all that out, but you want to get deep down inside of there. Just wipe everything down that you can. There you go. Give it a good coating. And we're going to do another lube on this later on. All right, there we go. You want to maybe work that out a little bit. There you go. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the upper part. This is a little bit more complex. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the bolt carrier group out, and you simply do that by pulling the charging handle back, and you see everything slides, and you just pull this on out and set it to the side. You're now ready to take your charging handle out. Inside of the upper and the charging handle, when you first do this, you'll notice you can't just yank it right out. You have to move it along till you fill the grooves. There's little cutouts where these little grooves will fit through in the upper receiver. That's how you lock it in, and that's how you remove it. You just put that to the side. Very much like the other one, we want to use a new rag because we don't want to contaminate, cross-contaminate. And again, you can squirt it directly onto the rag, or you can squirt it directly into the upper receiver tracks. And you're just going to go in with your finger at this time and just wipe everything down, give everything a good coating. Now this is fairly clean, full disclosure. I've cleaned this farm, and this is just for instructional purposes. So you're not going to find a lot of grime on it, like so. Deep in the groove, you'll find that it's hard to get your finger in at times. So what you do with that is you get a Q-tip. Q-tips are wonderful for those hard to reach spaces. You'll hear a lot of people say a lot of different things about Q-tips, but I've never had any issue with Q-tips. Get that lightly covered with the CLP, and just go in and you get those hard to reach places. There you go. You'll even see in the bore there, well, probably can't see it from your angle, but there's the little bore. Those are little hard places to get. You can get special little cleaning disc to get that specifically, but a Q-tip will do you just fine. There you go. And you see, even still after the clean, we still have some debris and muck that I'm going to get pulling out of there. So not a bad idea to do this. Just get it real good with that stuff. Ideally, depending on how in depth you want your cleaning, you want to repeat this process till your Q-tips come out clean. We're not going to do that much in depth today. But actually, we've done a pretty good job at it. See, a little cleaner. There you go. What we're going to do now, what I like to do, I like to take a little rag, stuff it in the end of the upper receiver. So I want to put a little bit more in there. I want it running to the point where it's just running out of there. There you go. We're going to let that sit for a little bit. While we're letting that sit, we're going to go ahead and get another cloth. We're going to clean our charging handle and our bolt carrier group. We'll talk about the bolt carrier group in a little bit because depending on how in depth you want to do your cleaning, you can go pretty deep in it. You can just clean the bolt carrier group as is, or if you want to really get deep, you can take the bolt out, clean that, and then you want to get really deep, you can disassemble the bolt and clean that more in depth. For today, we're just basically going to clean the bolt carrier group, and we will extract the bolt so you can see how that's done, and we'll clean the firing pin as well. So same thing, put a little CLP on my rag, give this a good coating. Now depending on whether or not you can get in the grooves of that, you want to give that a coating as well. When you're inspecting your charging handle, inspect this part for wear. Now you're going to have the paint come off a little bit, but you just want to make sure that this metal isn't deforming. So give that a good coating, set that aside. We're going to pull this aside for right now, and then we're going to go ahead and get to work on that bolt carrier group. For the bolt carrier group, you maybe want a few things. Now if you have a paper clip, a stout wire, the tip of a bullet, or even a pick or a small roll punch, or a small punch for that matter, you can get under what they call the cotter pin. The cotter pin is this thing right here. This holds your firing pin in. So I'm going to use my little pick. I get underneath there and I gently extract the cotter pin. There you go. This is what your cotter pin looks like, right like so. I'm going to set that aside. Make sure you don't want to lose that because you do need that. Now our firing pin will come out like so. Put that aside. And then what we're going to do, the cam pin, we're going to turn that, we're going to push that in, turn this where it's in this most horizontal position, and just pull it on out like so. put the pin there, and then you can extract your bolt like so. Now, to clean the bolt, like we've done everything else, get a cloth. Good t-shirts, old t-shirts cut up make the best cloths. You can use anything. You can buy them. You can buy the little cleaning patches. But if you have an old t-shirt laying around, why not utilize it? Right? Give it a good coating, wipe it down until you get the debris off. There you go. Take caution around your gash rings there. These are the gash rings. Now, what I say to mean by take caution, don't snag them and yank them off. Right? So you have a Q-tip. Again, you want to get in between here like so. Just give it a wiping down. And you see, not a lot of debris is coming off fairly clean. One thing you want to look out for on this piece right here, you want to make sure that you don't have carbon buildup. And if you do, you can get a special tool or pick and scrape that off. I don't have a lot of carbon buildup because I clean it regularly. Get inside there slightly. You can use, they have special brushes, or you can use a pipe cleaner to get in there and clean that out there. There you go. And that's the depth for what we're going to do with that today. Now we're going to actually get down to wiping this thing down. Same thing as others. You want to get a cleaning cloth. Let's see here. A little CLP. And then you want to wipe it down here. Now the CLP, you can leave that it is because it does clean, lubricate, and protect. That's what CLP stands for. Even though it does that, I still give it a coat of my favorite gun oil. I love CLP for cleaning, but I don't know if I trust it 100% to lubricate as I like to have my firearms lubricated. There, you wipe that down. This is the gas key. Gets a lot of fouling in here. This is where the gas goes in and propels the bolt forward. So you want to get in there real good. If you have a pipe cleaner, this is a good area to get with the pipe cleaner. We've done this previously, so mine's going to be coming out clean. Wipe it down like so. And now we're ready to put this thing back together. As I said before, I like to use my own, even though CLP works to an extent, I always just like to give it a coating with just pure oil, not necessarily a product that does many things, but just one that really specifically works on lubrication. So I put a little oil on my device. I've already done it a few times already, as I said before. Spread it around a little bit, set it right here, put a little bit inside of the bolt carrier group, not a lot, because a little bit goes a long way. This thing will be dripping oil for a bit. And what I now want to do is I want to insert my gas key in, and the extractor bit, you want it in your 10 o'clock position, or roughly about that spot. If I hold my bolt correctly, and I'm off, actually I need to flip it around like so in the 10 o'clock spot, and it'll slide right in. Then you have the little hole there where your pin here goes in, and you just adjust it where you can get that pin in. You put it in the vertical orientation just as it was when we pulled it out. You might have to do a little finagling to get it in, and as you see, it fits right in, and turn it where the horizontal plane is going long ways, the longer, like so, like you see. Give it a little test movement here and there. Now you're ready to put your firing pin back in. I grab it like so it doesn't fall out, and you can just drop it right in. You might have to readjust, but look, it goes right in after I drop it. I'll let you see that in slow motion. Where it goes in is right here. I'm not going to show it in slow motion, but I'll show it where you can see it. I'm putting my hand to the back so it doesn't fall out everywhere. And then I just wiggle it where it falls into place. There's a little hole where it'll go through, like so. There you go. Now I'm ready to put my cotter pin back in. And you can hand push this in. It doesn't take anything special. There you go. Again, you want to test it, make sure that firing pin doesn't fall out. And a good way to test your gas keys to see if they're good, you just basically pull the bolt out into the farmost position. You balance this up top, and what'll happen, it'll maintain pressure like that. If it's sliding down, it means you probably need to replace your gas keys. So as you see, this is fine. Now I'm going to apply some coating to some, you don't have to get this thing super greasy, but there's some areas, the wear points where you see wear, that's probably where you want to put your oil. So where I see wear, I'm putting oil These little holes here, a little oil there, a little oil on the cotter pin, on the bolt facing, and on the rear end of this, and these little tracks and grooves, and anywhere I see wear. That's it. You want to gently wipe down the extra oil you have on there, your excess. There you go. Now you're ready to rod. Put that to the side. Same thing, even though we've cleaned it off with CLP, I'm going to coat it lightly with oil and then wipe off the extra. Spread it around, wipe off the extra. Like so. With the, now before we get to this thing, we ran that CLP through the upper. We're not done with it. Now this is a 300 blackout, so you want to make sure when you, I'm going to use a bore snake. You can use a cleaning rod. I have cleaning rods, but today we're going to use a bore snake because they're very easy. This is the bore snake I use, but you can find different ones at Walmart. Just make sure you got the proper one for your firearm, or you risk not doing a good enough cleaning job, or risk the bore snake getting snapped off into the tube of your barrel, and that would be a hoot to get out. So for this one, you just generally unwind it from the spool. You take this little ball in, you feed it through the barrel. This is going to be a little tricky because of, I still have that rag in, that's number one, so let's get that rag out. So feed it through. And for this one, because it is tricky, it's thin, it has a little aid. You just, with the little holder, you just hook that ball into this little thing like so. I'm going to try to do this all on camera. Let's wrap it around a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull it on through. There you go. Do that a couple times. I usually like to do it anywhere from 3 to 7 times. I'm just going to do it about 3 since we've already done this before, and for learning purposes, I'm going to do it again. Hook it in, wrap it around a few times so I don't have to go off camera with this. Pull it through again. There we go. And one last time. So now we're going to put everything here back together, like so. I'll flip it back up. Oh, and you know what? I'm also going to put a little oil inside here, like so, if I hadn't done so already. Line this up, just like we pull it out, and it'll find those grooves. You push it in a little bit, just kind of test it. Leave it slightly ajar with your bolt carrier group. You're going to pull the bolt where it's, again, to extend it to its fullest position there. You take it like so, and position the little gas key in the track of the charging handle. It takes a little practice when you're first doing this, but it gets real easy, I promise. You just pop it in till you hear that little click, and your upper is reassembled. Going back to the lower, very much like we did previously, I like to add a few drops of oil. Despite having used the CLP, I like to add a few drops of oil to the springs and to the safety selector rotator in there, and you'll be able to see all that in there. Right here is the safety selector rotator, and then here are your springs. Drop a little oil there, oil there. Use a little swab to get the extra out, because you don't want that too drippy. Nothing bad will come of anything if you do, but what happens, that oil will drip for days and get on everything. even with the oiling. Like a lot of people will consider this excessive, but honestly, I like to do mine like how Ruger used to do it. If you've ever bought a Ruger product or shopped for a Ruger rifle, their things would come dripping with oil, and they make a fantastic product. You really can't put too much oil on some of these things. It's just, if you do and you don't wipe off your extra oil, it's going to be messy. So just keep that in mind. There you go. That's about all I really do with that. Now we're going to put it together, very much like how it was when we took it apart. The first thing I want to do, whereas before, the first thing I did, oh, you know what? I almost forgot. I also like to put on my lower, I always like to put a little oil on the pivot pins and the takedown pins as well. And test that for action. There you go. Keep those things fully extended because you're going to need it. We're just ready to put the upper and we're ready to marry the upper and lower once again. And it's kind of like the reverse of what we did previously, whereas before we did the takedown pin first and then the pivot pin last. I like to do the takedown pin, the pivot pin, excuse me, first. If I can get in there. There we go. And then the pivot pin, I'm sorry, the takedown pin last. So pivot pin, takedown pin. That's how I like to do it. Wipe off the extra oil. And trust me, as much oil as I like to use, this thing will be oozing oil for a while. And you just wipe it off. You go to the range, you wipe it off, but not the biggest problem in the world. You want to maybe do some function checks. Everything is working as it should. Make sure, again, like I left that rag in earlier, you make sure you didn't leave the rags in, or even you want to do a visual inspection to make sure if you're using a cleaning rod, for example, you want to inspect to make sure you didn't leave a patch in the barrel, because that could be catastrophic. Open this thing, there you go. So you can just literally pull that back and you can look down and see, especially if you're facing right. But that is it. We're ready to rock and roll. I hope you found this video helpful. I had fun making the video, and if it has been helpful, drop a like. If you really like my content, I appreciate you subscribing and hitting that bell notification. That way you stay up to date with all my videos. If you have any questions or want to add a step that maybe I've missed that you would have included, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Just keep it civil. Thank you guys for watching as always. Keep on watching. Be safe out there and live the dream.
Thank you.